Hi, I'm Kitty Robinson and I want to show you how to do these lovely wire wrapped pendants. Now inside these wire cages they are the crystal stones. They come in many different shapes and sizes, but the basic steps of how to do them is exactly the same. I love this friller look, but you can get a more even look as well if you like. The stones come in different sizes, different colors. Choose one what you're gonna encase. I think I'm gonna go with this one right here, so I'm gonna get the rest out of the way for you so you can see better. Now 2 gauges of wire you're gonna need. One is 0.8 millimeter, this is the thicker one, and you need a thinner one which is like 0.4 millimeter. We're gonna use the 0.8 as our main frame and the 0.4 to wrap around it. Now cut about as a thumb of rule, I guess I would cut the widest part of the pendant. I would measure that 4 times to get a right length. I got a little bit of extra here, and you for the first time get like 5 times of your pendant, so you got more to work with until you work out which style you work the best for you. So cut 3 lengths of the thicker wire. This is about 20 centimeter what I have here, and line them up. You can straighten them up with your hands, or if you got one of these wire straighteners, just run them down so they're nice and straight for you to work with. Turn it around and straighten this end as well. Then what you need to do is to find your middle. So my middle is about here, and go a centimeter over to the left or right, depending if you're left or right handed. Then I'm going to take the thinner wire, and all I'm going to do is start to wrap it around it, just like that. Make sure these wires are sitting side by side, so if you look at it from the side that you only can see 1 wire from the top, and if you look at it from the front you can see the 3 wires sitting nicely and neatly next to each other. Now keep wrapping this around until you get a couple of centimeters or just under 1 inch. Now time to time do stop and push these coils together. I do like to work my ends off as I go along because it just gives you a nicer and cleaner finish. So I'm just going to wrap this around a couple of times here until I get to the end. And then what you want to do is cut your wire right, so just leaving a millimeter or 2 end. This is gonna be the inside of my pendant, and I'm gonna tuck this end down. Make sure all the coils sitting nice and next to each other. The other thing what you can do to make them more sturdy is to go along with your pliers. You can use your chain nose for this one, or you can use a flat nose plier and just squish it down time to time from top to bottom to get a nice closed and strong finish on there, and keep on wrapping until you get your length. This shouldn't take long. I'm actually gonna cut this wire because I shouldn't need much longer than that. So I guess the whole piece of wire I'm using at the bottom here is about 1 foot in length, and just keep wrapping it around until you get to the end of the wire. This is just to hold our thicker wire together, and that will be at the bottom of your pendant. So again, if your coils are not sitting right next to each other, just push them up against each other, go along with your pliers, flatten them out a bit, and then they will just sit there nicely and neatly. Just keep on going. Now I'm almost there. I'm right here at the end. Now what I'm going to do here is locate the side where my end is. So I'm going to pull my wire up, and I want the other end on this side as well. So this again is going to sit inside my pendant, so I don't get any scratchy, itchy feeling when I'm wearing it. Flatten it down. Right, now we got our 3 pieces of wire secure, and we're going to start to shape it. Now at this point you can still move this. If you really pull on this middle bit, you can still move it a little bit. So if your wire wrapping is not quite in the middle, do move it to the middle. Now depending on what shape of crystal you gonna use to wrap. If you're using something which is a bit more round, then start to shape this middle just around your finger, so you get the nice round shape which will fit in there. But at this point I chosen a pointy one, so I'm going to straighten this back out, pull it out. Because this one has got a pointy end right in the middle, I'm going to take my pliers, going to hold it halfway where my coiling is, and I'm going to make a sharp bend on it. So this is where my crystal is going to sit in there. That's it. And then I'm going to shape it with my hands to roughly the shape of the stone I'm trying to do. So when you get to the top and you got the roughly shape, you put your stone in there and hold your wires and your stone at the same time. Then I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to pinch one side at the top and pull it into the middle. And at the same time I'm twisting my wires, and do the same on the other side. Pull it in the middle and at the same time twist your wires out. You don't have to do it in one go. The good thing about working with wire like this, you can reshape it and rebend it as you go along. So I got a basic shape for my wire. We will tidy this up later on, so don't worry about it at this point. What we need to do next is to bond all these 6 wires together. So I can actually take the stone out, or if you're more comfortable, you can hold it inside it there. You're going to take another piece of wire. Now here you're going to need to leave a tail, because this tail is going to be important later on. And just wrap this around maybe 3-4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. That's it. Now at this point, what I like to do, so my tail is just there, I like to insert the stone inside here, make sure it fits nicely. And then what I'm gonna do, if you look at your pendant from the side, you got 3 thicker wires going here. So just with my nails, or if you haven't got any nails, you can use the tip of your pliers. I'm gonna pull the front wire onto the front of the pendant, just like that. We will tidy this up later on, so don't worry if you don't get the nicest shape there. And pull the other front wire to the front of the pendant, just like that. Then I'm going to turn it around and do the same on the back. So my middle wire is going to stay on the side of my crystal stone, and my back wire is going to sit on the back of my stone. Now the stone is loosely in there at this point, so it will hold, but if it falls out, don't worry, because you can put it back in there. So the next step, what we need to do is we need to locate what wire is what. So I want to find my 2 front wires, so I'm gonna separate these out a bit. These are my 2 back wires. This is my middle wires, and these are my 2 front wires. Right, so I'm going to pull the front wires towards the front for a minute. Now at the moment I don't need to do anything with these wires, so I'm just going to bend them down so I can work with these 2. Now we're going to form the bell with these 2 wires, so I'm going to slightly just push them to the back, start to shape it what the bell is going to be. I want them nicely and neatly next to each other. Again, if you need a little bit of straightening, just running through your wire straighteners, or pull it with your fingers so they're nice and straight. Now this wire, which we've wrapped all 6 wires around, I'm going to take this and I'm going to keep wrapping these 2 wires together all the way to the end. Again, as you're coiling it and your wire is not or coiling is like a little bit apart, just go there, push it down so they sit nicely and neatly on top of each other, and just keep on wrapping until you get to a length how big your bell you want to be. Again, as you go along, make sure these two don't twist, they sit nicely and neatly next to each other. Take your flat nose or chin nose pliers, push down on the wires that will secure them on there, and keep on wrapping till the end. So I did about 1.25 inches, I guess, or probably about 3.5 centimeters here. I think that will be enough for my bell. So the next thing you need to do, you need to form your bell. So I'm going to push this slightly towards the back. Now here, if you have a pencil with you or anything, or even the base of your pliers will do, because I just want to wrap it around that so I get a nice and round shape. So just wrap it around. That's it. Now I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and here I'm just going to turn this out a little bit so I can push that wire front and back together. So now this is the tail what we have here. We're going to lift the sides up for a second, just like so, out of the way, and unwrap this tail, not all the way, just leave 1 or 2 coils on there, and then push it all down and all together. You're going to wrap it back, including the front of your bell. 1, 2. If you feel that this is a little bit short or your wire is hard to hold on to, do take a pair of pliers, because you can add a bigger pressure on there, you can a better tension with it, and just keep wrapping it around. You don't need so many wraps, maybe 4 or 5, 6 will do. And then you want to work off this little tail. Now again, you don't want it to be on the front, it is visible. You don't want it at the back, because you don't want that tail scratching your chest. So try to do it on the side. So I just cut it off. I'm just probably midway on the side, and I'm just going to push it inside the coil. Now I still got my working wire here, which I've wrapped that bell around. I'm going to wrap this again a couple of times. 1, 2, maybe do 1 more. So it's nice and secure. Again, I'm going to work this end off as well. So I'm going to pull it nice and tight. I'm going to cut it off, and I'm going to tuck the end in between a couple of coils there. Just tuck it right in. So this is it, the base of our pendant is done now, and we've done the bell. Now we're going to have to shape and do something with these wires. Now there's a lot of things you can do here. You can leave them up and do some little twirly decorations at the top, or you can pull them down. But before we do that, I want to tighten up the wire, the base wire around the crystal. So take your round nose pliers. Now just at the tip of your round nose pliers, you're gonna catch the wire, the sticker wire on your stone where you want to do like a little twirly shape. It can be at the top, it can be at the bottom, it can be in the middle. Just catch that wire and just turn it slightly. This is only like a quarter turn, it doesn't have to be big. Now if you want this mirrored on the other side, then catch it in the same place, but turn it the other wise. So here, if you turn anti-clockwise, here you're gonna have to turn clockwise. Now you do this for the front and for the back as well. Again, I'm just gonna catch it here towards the bottom. Just pull this onto a little bit and turn it and turn it again. So this, with this one, we tidied up and tightened the wires onto our pendant. Now you don't have to be any particular shape. You can go back and do another one further up. I'm just going to do this one more further up, and even at the top as well, you can do like a little twirl So I've got a nice zigzag, like a leaf shape coming down onto it. Now I'm going to tidy up these two front ones first. Again, you can pull this to the one side, you can pull it at the top, or you can pull it at the bottom. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to cut them so they are exactly the same size. Just like so. Then I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to do a little twirl. So I'm going to turn it around, but just with the tip, because I want it to be very, very small until you get back on itself on the one side and on the other side as well. And then once you've gone around once, you can't really twirl it around with your round nose, otherwise it's going to start to coil. Then you're going to get your chain nose or your flat nose and hold it, the little loop what you created, and turn it with the plier itself, and then you're creating a nice flat coil. Just going to go a little bit further up with that one and do the same on the other side. Just like so. You can always tweak it a little bit afterwards, as I said with the wire work. The good thing about it is that you can, actually these would look nice if I cross them over. So I'm going to pull that way, and I'm going to pull this way. So they are looping inwards, so you can manipulate your wire later on. Now you can either work these off, or you can, again, what you can do, I like to pull them down. So that's 1 and 2. Again, I'm gonna make sure they are the same size. Just trim them down slightly, maybe only that much. And then I'm going to create another curl. So just holding the tip, turning it around on both sides. And once you get around, I'm going to take my chain nose again and curl it in on itself. I don't want it to be too big. I'm gonna stop right there and do the same on the other side. As you see, I'm doing like a little bit looser curl on this side, just like that. Again, I'm gonna shape it so it just come under the one above. And then finally I got these two left. Then I'm gonna pull these down. If you need to, again, you can get your straighteners out and straighten them out a little bit, or use your fingers. And finally, I'm gonna make sure these are the same size as well. Then curl those in further down on the pendant, so they're about the same size. Again, catching the end with my round nose pliers, curling it around once, and on the other side as well. Taking my chain nose or flat nose, grabbing the whole thing and curling up. I'm going to do even looser curls on this one. And same on the other side. And I'm going to pull this in a little bit at the bottom. And really, that's it for the whole pendant. Our pendant is ready. It's nice and secure at the back, nice and secure at the front. You can tweak this a little bit if you like, pull it and push it, and that's it, your pendant ready. If you want to do a frill look like this, I did exactly the same up until the point when I started to curl the ends around. And this one, depending, if you want more of a curly one, then you will use your round nose and curl them up and down. If you want more of a staggered look, then you use your chain nose and creating more of an angles, and basically just going around and pushing them left, then back to right, to create that organic, like a tree root, I guess, look. Make sure that none of the ends are poking upwards, so you always want to poke them down towards the pendant, so you don't get any scratchy feeling on your chest with it. And that's it. that's how these lovely crystal stone pendants are made. Thank you for watching. See you later. Check out the other videos on this playlist to learn more techniques just like this.